Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today and we got a big one to get into. We're talking about Obsidian Entertainment, who is soon to be releasing Avowed. Or are they? That's the big question mark since the June showcase, where we expected release dates for games like Avowed, like Indiana Jones, and we didn't get one. In particular for Avowed, right now the rumor is this game is going to get a slight delay to create some room for other games coming out during that holiday period. This is something I've talked extensively about on Defining Duke and sometimes here on this channel, where I feel like Avowed, when we saw it during the developer direct, was in a state where it just looked like it needed more time. And I was calling for a delay, saying this does not look ready, especially when they said it was an alpha at the top of the year. It just didn't sound right to me. There was just not enough time to get it into shape. But it seemed like I was incorrect, because then come June, Avowed looked way better than I ever expected. And that's where I shifted my stance to more 50-50. Like, if they were going to delay it, it didn't seem like it was because of a quality concern, but rather to create room. And that seems to be exactly what's going on here, if the word of Tom Warren is to be believed. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Avowed and when it's going to show up next, and also a unannounced project from Obsidian Entertainment being leaked in a way where we know it's now happening. And the question mark is, what is it? Fallout New Vegas 2? Grounded 2? Something brand new? Is it a Pentiment sequel? There are many options on the table. I have my prediction. We'll get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new here and you're into what's going on with Obsidian, consider subscribing. Let's start off at the top with the news from Tom Warren, where he writes, Microsoft is about to delay Avowed slightly. I'm hearing that Obsidian is about to announce an Avowed delay to early 2025. More on this in the Notepad this week. Now, Notepad is his weekly subscription-based news service. I really didn't want to pay for it. Clobril took the bullet for all of us. Pure Xbox covered it. Here's the direct quote. Quote, I understand Avowed is in good shape. This is more a matter of wanting to give the game breathing room outside of a very busy period for Xbox Game Pass, end quote. Now, Avowed is my most anticipated game of the year, so selfishly, this is disappointing. But in terms of game quality and for Xbox's company health, this is a really good call. One of the big talking points on Defining Duke and Xbox podcast that myself and Cog go over endlessly is, how is Xbox going to handle this holiday period? No doubt, for them as a company, the big dog in town is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. That's what's going to be pushing Game Pass forward. That's what's going to be making them the most money that holiday period. Like, you can count on it. So how do you balance everything surrounding it? When does Starfield Shattered Space come out? When does Microsoft Flight Simulator come out? We just had Stalker 2 delayed into November. That's right on top of where it's rumored that Avowed was supposed to be coming out. Then you had Indiana Jones rumored to be coming out in December, which we thought was a little bit too late in the year for what could have been a good Game of the Year contender. And what we looked at was 2021, where Xbox went like back to back, where you had games like Psychonauts 2, followed up by Age of Empires 4, followed up by Forza Horizon 5, then Halo Infinite, and all these were just back to back. No one had breathing room. And in one case, Halo Infinite's multiplayer release coming early kind of took the legs out from under Forza Horizon 5, even though now we've seen it continue to grow. But that was a concern at that point in time. And when we got into 2022, Xbox had no games except for Grounded and Pentiment. Why is this all relevant to the conversation, you may be asking? It's because what it shows to me here is there was a lesson learned in that you need to spread out the content more. I say this as someone who does this for a living. No one has time for like 50 games this holiday period. When you look at the release calendar for October, no one has time for this many video games, even if it's all that they do. Now imagine it from the consumer standpoint. They work a 9 to 5, family to take care of, social life maybe, hobbies, etc., etc. Gaming is a part of those hobbies, but not everyone has enough time to play all these different games that look great. So the saturation in content is exciting, especially for Xbox, where things were famously deprived of a level of content. Now we're getting a lot of that. Spread it out. I think a great example is Nintendo. You look at how Nintendo does things. The reality is it does give us time to play those things, and Nintendo famously has held on to games for years until they had a dead quarter and then just dropped a new exciting title. And that was exciting for fans because the wait was shorter, and it was good for the game because now Avowed might have the best chance to succeed. To me, Avowed continued to show improvement. And as someone who loves an Obsidian style game, I love the idea that it's just going to get more time and it's going to do better in the terms of quality potentially, but also that it has a better chance to succeed on the market where it's less crowded in the holiday window. There's also a lot of competition for RPGs internally when you really think about it. You have, of course, Starfield Shattered Space, which is one competitor. You have Dragon Age: The Veilguard coming out, which is a fantasy RPG competitor. Like, there's a lot there where Avowed clearing out, as much as I would like to play it sooner rather than later, makes a lot of sense. So for me personally, I think this is a good call if it ends up being true, especially because the rumor is right now, it's not about the quality of the game. It's in good shape. It's just about giving it more time, which is something that I have advocated for Xbox to do with the surplus of content they're now starting to acquire for a long while. Now, we're actually going to see Avowed very soon, as confirmed by Xbox. They posted on their Twitter account, the countdown to Gamescom begins, which is August 21st. 50 plus games, theater presentations for Avowed, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and Starfield Shattered Space, with 3 days of live broadcasts and a fan fest. We'll talk about Shattered Space and what's going on with Bethesda, because there's plenty happening in that realm as well, more in tomorrow's video. But when it comes to Avowed, we're going to be seeing more of this game very soon, where no doubt we're going to get a release date announcement for it. I don't know if Obsidian's going to preface their new theater showing at Gamescom by announcing the delay first, or if they're going to do it at the same time where like they have a new trailer and then boom, new release date at some point in 2025. But one thing, as someone who plays all systems, that I've requested from many of these companies, Xbox in particular, is to spread the wealth throughout the year. Like, you need something in every quarter, frankly, if you want to really thrive in this industry. Nintendo does it extremely well, and I'd like to see Xbox, with how much content they have, get into the swing of things. So having potentially something locked in for the first 3 months of the year, that's a very exciting exclusive for Xbox, I think is a great thing to have there. Now, continuing on, that's not it for Obsidian. We have this information from Pure Xbox where they write, Xbox dev Obsidian has seemingly started work on a brand new project. Spotted on LinkedIn, Obsidian art director Daniel Kabuko has added a curious July update to their online resume. As of last month, Kabuko is listed as an art director on an unannounced title at Obsidian Entertainment. If you look at right now the projects he's worked on, there haven't been much updates otherwise, so there's no real word on what's going on here with Obsidian Entertainment other than just a unannounced project. Now, I know where all of our heads are going to go here, right? We're all going to think Fallout New Vegas 2, and that isn't an eliminated possibility here. I think when you look at what Todd said, how there's multiple games in development for the Fallout license, one of them undoubtedly is a Fallout remaster. The other has to be some sort of new spin-off title, because he kind of eliminated the idea of mainline titles going to any sort of other developer outside of Bethesda Game Studios who wants to do Fallout 5 themselves. So yes, New Vegas 2 absolutely is on the table, especially when Obsidian has been very vocal again about wanting to develop Fallout New Vegas, or just work on Fallout again. Like, this is something people have wanted, and especially when you look at, I'll just say, how things end up in the TV show, the awareness for New Vegas is increasing ever rapidly, and I think a game synchronizing with that setting would be increasingly wise. But you've heard me say this in a million videos before, so my more contrarian take here, that I think lines up a little bit more, it's not going to excite you, my audience, entirely, based on the taste of games I know most of you have, but I think it actually might be Grounded 2. Now, the last update we got for Grounded was the fully yoked 1.4 update, which arrived on multiple platforms, Switch, PlayStation, Steam, and Xbox. This is part of the multi-platform push, and it was marked as the final update for Grounded. That was April 16th, and since then, as promised, no more updates for Avowed. They've moved on. Now, I don't think that small team is just going to move on and fold into the efforts for Avowed or the efforts for maybe a New Vegas 2 or the Outer Worlds 2. The interesting thing here is that it's called an unannounced project. So it's not Avowed. It's not the Outer Worlds 2. So what could it be? And that's where it leads me to Grounded 2, because we do have a TV show coming for this game. And also, Grounded was incredibly successful for a 13-person team. And I think they could really make some magic here with a multi-platform release, with the TV show in the tuck, providing a lot more brand awareness, really growing what Grounded is, and now it's available everywhere. Is there the retroactive effect? Potentially, in that, yes, Grounded could just have a surge of popularity once more when the TV show drops and people go back to the original game. That's always a possibility, but I do think that they're not going to take that small kind of splinter team and just fold them into a much larger group. I think that goes against what Obsidian as a team is known for, which is having a very large studio broken up into a lot of little teams, all working on like AA and indie style games. That's why Avowed isn't like necessarily going to blow your socks off in the terms of visuals. It's definitely in that AA pocket, but that's because it's not really the entire workforce of Obsidian tackling this project. And so I think that Grounded 2 is the more likely possibility here. That doesn't mean, again, that Fallout New Vegas 2 isn't happening. I do think it's further down the line, though, for sure, and that we would probably see a Grounded 2 sooner. Certainly, as you know, my game taste, something I would love to be incredibly wrong about. But that's the update for Obsidian right now. We have a delay potentially for Avowed setting in, and we have a new project being spun up on a team that's already working on games like Avowed, like The Outer Worlds 2. So it seems like some teams have been freed up. Some are currently busy. When you deduce all of that, I imagine probably the Avowed team would begin the work on like a new big RPG after it comes out. I mean, again, if you just look at the team dynamic at Obsidian, I could see the Pentiment team kind of folding into something because I don't think Pentiment did incredible in the terms of sales, even when it went multi-platform. I could be totally wrong about that, by the way. That's just my assumption based on statistics we've seen thus far. But as it stands, the only available team is the Grounded team. You have the Outer Worlds team working on the Outer Worlds 2. You have the Avowed team working on Avowed. So really, you only have one team that's available, and it only makes sense for them to move on to a Grounded 2 or whatever they end up calling it next. Certainly, I'd love for it to be New Vegas 2. I think that may get spun up potentially after Avowed, maybe the Outer Worlds 2. We'll see in due time, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, that's my read of the situation here with Obsidian Entertainment, and I'd love to hear yours, so fire away down below. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.